When we started 10 years ago to hear news that something is going on in developing worlds about electronic recycling or recycling, it was kind of not to believe. Nobody expected this, that the poorest of the poor actually have computers. And what we then try to do is, with the help of a larger contract we got from the Swiss government, to visit such countries, especially China, India, and South Africa, to find out what is going on. And surprisingly, in none of these countries there was no e-waste recycling. So the idea that there is an empty space on this planet where these items are non-existing and are not recycled is not true at all. But if you look a bit closer what they do with this equipment, end of life, you find out that you have like two sides of the medal. On one hand, they are very, very efficient in collecting, in dismantling things, much higher collection rates than we would expect, for instance, in one of our countries. The reason is because there's valuable material in this electronics. But then on the other hand, their know-how, their knowledge, and their technology they have is so crude that they start to damage their health, they damage the environment. It's not ignorance, it's just not having access to the appropriate requirement or required technologies, know-how, financing, etc. So the very first thing you want to do then is to make it stop. The really risky part of it. And the question, do or does the world lose materials our children will require, is maybe like a second question. The very first one is stop these people from killing themselves. But of course, if you look at the larger picture, another effect of these crude methods is that people lose valuable resources of this planet. Again, not because they are ignorant or because they don't want to do their best. It's just a lack of technologies, money, and access to the best know-how. These people, actually this is, as far as I understand, in Ghana, Agbo-Bloshi, I suppose.
Yes.
A very known place these days. So you see young people trying to recover metals from very complex components. Printed wiring boards, cables, computer parts. So what they do is they put it on a heap, as we see here. Then they put fire to it, burn it, and at the end you have just a heap of metal. Very normally it's aluminum, copper, some iron, and these metals they can sell to the scrap market. And that's efficient. I mean, what they do is exactly what everybody would do. If you can't take it out mechanically, you burn the plastic around it. The problem is this smoke. The smoke coming out of this plastic is not benign. It's very dangerous, actually. And the reason is this plastic is made not to burn. So you have ingredients in this plastic, we call it flame retardants, which, when they are burned at low temperatures, like in an open fire, these smokes contain dioxins or furanes. And dioxins and furanes are some of the worst poisons we know on this planet. They are not only bad, they are also very persistent. So if the smoke just is over this ground, then you have dioxins falling out to the soil, and they stay in the soil for hundreds of years. And the other effect is if people are poisoned with dioxins, that's really bad. It can damage their lungs, their skins. It's a very nasty thing, and we should avoid it at all prices. So if you find such situations, and that's not the only one in Africa, you see it in India, you see it in South America, you see it in China, the very first thing you should do in such a situation is stop the fire. And there are, of course, many ways to do it. Stop the material which is processed to come here, but that's only possible if people themselves don't have their own material. But of course, the Ghanese, they have electronics at home. So you need to stop parts of the inflow, so to diminish the quantities. And at the other hand, you have to make these people fit with technology and know-how in order they have other processes instead of fire. Yeah? So stop burning is a key issue.